What's up, YouTube? This is Jordan Young with Tap and Tune Productions. Hope you guys are having a good week. I am having a great week. I'm sitting here in my new home studio. Anyways, I want to talk to you today about microphones. Every producer has had a lot of experience working with microphones because let's face it, if you're doing recording, you got to have a transducer. You got to have a microphone to get those sounds into your computer or whatever you're recording on. Could be analog tape. So, what kind of microphones are there? There's really three main type of microphones: dynamic, ribbon mics, and condensers. Basically, with dynamic mics, you have a moving coil, sound pressure levels come into the mic, the diaphragm or the magnet or the coil moves, and that outputs into, your mic preamplifier. Dynamic mics, probably some of the cheapest, but they sound amazing on different sources. This is a Shure SM57. I would put this mic on a snare drum any day or on a guitar cabinet because it's a sound that I'm associated with hearing that I know is just going to sound good. So, not an expensive mic, but yields some good results with the right application. Let's talk about condenser mics for a little bit. Condenser mics are a different beast. Condenser mics are going to use 48-volt phantom power to operate as their principal. And typically, the transient response is going to sound different than dynamic mics. The transient response on a condenser mic is a lot more quick. It's faster. So, and depending on the type of condenser it is, that can yield some really good results. This is a Shure KSM32, a workhorse mic that I use all the time in the studio. I use it for piano recording, acoustic guitar, drum overheads. Pretty much anything that you can think of, you name it, I use this mic on. The reason being is it takes EQ extremely well, and it's a fairly inexpensive mic. You can buy these for about $400 or $500, and they're just great sounding. I use it on vocals, and it just sounds good. Yet, depending on what you're recording, you're going to reach for different mics. Now, for a vocal mic, a cheap, inexpensive vocal mic, some of you guys might only have a couple $100. What would I recommend? I would recommend anything that has a good sound and has relative low self noise. So, for instance, the Rode NT1A, which I have right here, fantastic mic, Rode NT1A. Great vocal mic because it's inexpensive. It's about $200, and you get a pop filter and you get a shock mount and you get a lot of value. I think you even get a mic cable with the purchase of the microphone. So, all these factors, all these things considered, what are you recording, what's the application, and what kind of microphone would really benefit the situation. Now, let's talk about ribbon mics. Ribbon mics use a different principle. I don't have one with me to illustrate, but basically it's a plate, it's a ribbon connected, and the sound pressure levels come in and it moves that plate, that ribbon, then generates an output. Now, ribbon mics can be a bit fragile, especially the older ones. And so caring for them and storing them in the upright position is important. And the other thing is you do not want to use 48-volt phantom power on a ribbon mic, which can ruin it. Condenser mics, on the other hand, need 48-volt phantom power to operate almost exclusively, unless you're using like a tube condenser mic, which has its own power. So ribbon mics can be very nice sounding, although they can be a bit dark, meaning the top end, the 12K to 15K area might be a bit rolled off. But for some vocalists or for some guitar amps, that might be a preferable sound that you're trying to get as an engineer or as a producer. So using ribbon mics, very popular on guitar amps. You see good old ribbon mics on vocalists. So there's a lot of popular ribbon mics today. Some of my favorite, which are inexpensive, are the Cascade ribbon mics. I'm very fond of the Fathead 2s. Put it on a saxophone or put it in anything really sibilant or kind of bright sounding. It's a little bit darker, however, has enough clarity to make the sound come through in a warm kind of way. Ribbon mics have a certain kind of timbre, a sound associated with them. So that's why you might find yourself using a ribbon mic, say on a drum overhead, or you might using it on a guitar amp. That might be the sound or the flavor that your ear says, I like that. So depending on the source and depending on what you're recording, use whatever mic sounds good to your ear. There's really no rules. All that being said, microphones are essential to know which microphone to use in which application, and get familiarized with your microphones. And the other thing is, get a decent preamp if you want to elevate your recordings. But that's a different topic altogether, and I'll do a different video on preamps. So anyways, I hope you guys found this video instructive, or at least informative to some basic degree. Hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe if you want more content. You guys have a great day. Tap in. Tune out.